So hi, One Look Noise podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
I'm Rob.
And I'm Chris. We're from Shikari.
And we have some questions to say about the new album, A Kiss for the Whole World. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
Yeah, amazing.
Got number one in the UK.
Congratulations.
Yeah, our definitely our best ever response. And not only that, I mean, like the thing we really look out for is, like what it seems to mean to people and, people who follow us as well. And like, it just seems really positive. It feels like the music is really connecting with people. And I guess that's the main thing, really. And that's what we were hoping for.
People have come back to us at signings and said normally an album will take three or four listens through till they really get it and start loving it, whereas this one only takes 2 listens through till they start loving it. So that's good progress. Yeah,
that's good.
For sure.
Yeah, the album fucking rocks,
dude. It's fucking immaculate. You guys crushed it. I love it.
Oh, awesome! Thank you very, very much. Yeah, we worked really hard on it, and we're very proud of it.
Oh yeah,
as you should be. So, is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the cover, I guess. And the cover is basically, so it's like this completely burnt landscape, and there's a flower which blossoms through it, and that flower is a flower called a fire lily, and the fire lily only grows once its surroundings have been burnt. And that to us seemed like a great metaphor for the world we're living in today. When everything feels like it's kind of crumbling,
falling to shit around us,
crumbling around us, and like everything is just so negative that it's always this glimmer of hope that can grow from desperation. So that was the idea behind the artwork, and really A Kiss for the Whole World. The album felt so positive to us. I don't, like probably the most positive album musically we've ever written. And I think that came from just not knowing whether we were going to be able to do this again, because we started writing at the end of like when we first allowed to, after COVID. So really, and the album title just kind of reflects the emotion behind the music, but also it just feels like that's what the world needs at the moment.
When we come to choosing an album title, it's the same process every time. We look through all of the songs on it and all of the lyrics, and we see if anything sort of jumps out at us. So there were a couple of options, but this one seemed to us kind of right now feel like the world sort of needs a bit more positive love being put out into it.
Absolutely. It's just crazy to me that like you guys went into this not really sure if you're ever going to be able to kind of do it again because of the way the world was, and you wrote like your most positive record to date.
Yeah, I think we were just overjoyed about being able to be in a room together again and to be able to get creative. And like I think because nothing is true and everything is possible, that came out literally when COVID first struck, and a lot of that record felt so current at that time, and a lot of the themes on that record just felt so, what's the word, a lot of the stuff we were talking about on that album just felt so current. And it was like, we've kind of been saying this stuff for a long time, and now look where we are. But yeah, this album, it was just glorious to be able to be back together, and I think it just came out in the music.
Yeah, it was like creative diarrhea.
Yeah,
it just all came flowing out of us, whether we liked it or not.
That's disgusting.
That's why so much of the music on it is so sort of energetic and upbeat, is because we were so excited and upbeat just to be able to be writing music again together.
Hell yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Sure. It started off quite similar to most albums, really, in the way that where our demoing process, it kind of starts off from at home. We had a couple of little writing retreats that we went to and locked ourselves away in like an Airbnb, and just to kind of get the juices flowing, because we hadn't done it in a while. And then the majority of the demoing was done at Rail's house. We kind of just did like a 9 to 5 job, Monday to Friday. We'd just go in, and some days were really creative.
Well, we said, right, let's make it a 9 to 5 thing. And then we're like, well, let's not get too crazy. Let's make it 10 till 4.
So leave home at 9.
And they were like, 5 days a week. Well, we've got some things on. Maybe 4 days a week. Yeah, can't do. It kind of ended up being a few hours, maybe 3 days a week. But
yeah,
hey, that's the glory of working for yourself,
Yeah. This is the music industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually over the course of a few months, we built up quite a catalogue of new ideas and stuff. And when we felt we were ready, and we moved into, well, what was different about this record that we'd never done before is we instead of using a studio, we hired an Airbnb, and we just basically transformed this old cottage basically it was like it was on a farmland, wasn't it?
An old farmhouse. It was a little bit dilapidated and kind of needed a bit of TLC, I think, but it was perfect for us. The only bit of heating in the entire building was one log fire in like the downstairs in the middle of the house.
No.
So we wanted to be warm. We had to go out and literally chop logs and feed the fire.
That's crazy.
The electricity in the building was from a whole load of solar panels that were on the barn next to it. So it was proper sort of off grid. I think the only thing that was attached to the rest of civilization was the water.
Yeah, it was funny. We couldn't do, like, if we knew we were recording, we knew we couldn't be able to like boil the kettle, for example. There's all the power.
Yeah, the toaster and the kettle would suck all the power out. So if we were recording, no one was allowed to make a cup of tea or toast.
But so basically we just transformed that cottage into our own studio, and we just lived there for, how long was it? Like 4 weeks? 4 weeks. Yeah,
4 weeks.
4 weeks. And we just tracked, and we got as much down as we could.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So it was like when you look out the window in the morning, there was just you can't see any other houses. It was just fields with a nice morning mist going across it, deer running across the fields and stuff. I saw some hares boxing. Yeah. I didn't realize that hares actually box in real life. I thought it was just something they did in cartoons. But no, boxing each other. It was great. And then we'd sort of cook meals for each other. And take country walks when we needed inspiration. The barn next to the house where the solar panels were on top was like my drum cave, and because it was detached from the rest of the house, it meant that I could go there and just play anytime, day or night. And we were miles away from any other house, so it was nicely isolated, and it was perfect. And then we got back to the house and finished off sort of vocal parts and any other bits and pieces that we didn't manage to get tracking done on in the country house. Then started the arduous task of mixing, which actually wasn't too bad this one. I think because we were quite pressed for time. We had two mixers working on it, and because we needed it done sort of as quickly as possible. So it was like the mix notes were going back, pretty much as soon as like the day that we got a mix in, we were sending it back with mix notes in. So that wasn't too bad. And now we have this lovely album.
Hell yeah. Love that.
Wonderful. Was this album like down to the wire, just the process of making it? Because you said you guys were short on time by the time it got to mixing.
Always, like every single time.
Our management and label give us a deadline,
and then we go beyond it.
Yeah, and we're pretty sure they lie to us because they know we're going to miss it.
Yeah,
but the actual deadline, real secure deadline, I think it was quite ridiculous actually, because I think because of Brexit, just the turnaround time to get vinyls made was like 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, that's the really thing that makes it so annoying, is getting the records made takes so fucking long that you have to deliver it months in advance.
And that makes it harder for us as well, because we're all excited about this new album, and we know that no one can listen to it for at least another 6 to 9 months.
And also, you got to hope that it doesn't leak.
Yeah.
You know, the longer the time between finishing the album and then releasing the album, the more time there is for someone to get their hands on it and leak it. Yeah. But luckily, it didn't happen this time.
That's good.
Thankfully, yeah. So what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is each of your own personal favorite?
I think Deadwood probably took the longest to write. Deadwood was... it was actually, the idea of it started way back when we were writing Nothing Is True and Everything Is Possible. And then it kind of, for whatever reason, didn't get finished or got shelved. And then we came back to the idea. And for we loved that, the moment where the vocoder comes in. So much. We tried hard to make it like repeat. So as in like a repeating chorus, essentially. Mm-hmm. But it just, no way that we did it really work as well. Because it kind of, one thing that makes that song and that moment so special and epic and sort of gets the hairs on the back of your neck is that it only comes once. You know, a full build up. It's like the old 90s like classic trance tracks that have this sort of, 5-6 minute build up and then the one big drop moment where you sort of put your hands in the air.
Yeah.
This kind of through composed composition. So that one took a long time, and
that was another one that was we'd had ideas from the beginning of when we went on these writing retreats. The song "Leap Into the Lightning" kind of, the idea came about, and I just remember us going through so many different chorus ideas and melodies for that one. We just kept going back and forth and weren't quite happy. And eventually, I think it was one of the last ones to be finished. So that one spanned the whole writing and recording and mixing process.
God damn. And favorites?
Favorites.
There are another favorites. Okay, yeah.
Favorites.
Well, mine was Please Set Me on Fire. But because it was our first single, we've been playing it for quite a while now. I've heard it so much that I think now my favorite is Jailbreak.
Nice.
Just, I don't know, maybe if we had been playing Jailbreak this whole time, I'd be more inclined to listen to one that I hadn't been listening to a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's tough because I don't know. Yeah, I'd say probably Goldfish is my current favorite. I love the melodies, and I think that song as well, in the way it's produced, in the way it's mixed, I think it's one of the best sounding tracks we've ever made.
Hell yeah, good picks, guys. So
funny story about Goldfish. The chorus of that was actually started as the chorus to a song called "The King" on our album "Nothing Is True and Everything Is Possible."
So yeah, because that one was quite long in the making.
So that one was quite long in the making too. Yeah, it was actually like 3 years in the making or something.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's the thing with sort of writing and composing music, is that nothing is set in stone, and we had a whole bunch of different chorus ideas for The King, and we just decided that one would actually work better as its own thing, and there was another chorus that works better with The King, and then we worked on the verses of what then became Goldfish.
Yeah, and I guess after we made that decision, and remember that was when we finished writing Nothing Is True and Everything Is Possible. There's a big year and a half of us not thinking about it at all until we started thinking about writing the new album. So yeah, about 3 years from where it first reared its head to where it finally got finished.
Yeah, you find that a lot with our music. A lot of our songs are actually like, this song was actually a chorus of that other song, but then we decided to split it into two. Like, what was it? Zonkt and what was Zonkt? Not the wall. Anyway,
I remember.
it was part of another song.
So
right.
with that song, did you kind of write the two at the same time, or did you kind of take that chorus and say, this doesn't work, it could work for a different song, put it to the side, and then kind of revisit it?
Yeah, exactly that. The second one.
Okay,
All
gotcha.
right.
I was like, did you just write two songs at the same time? No, okay. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
I wrote like 20 songs at the same time.
Good Lord, yeah.
How did the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
No, we wrote a whole load of songs, and then once we had all our songs, we were like, okay, which ones are going into the album, and what's the order going to be?
Yeah, I guess this album's quite different to any of our previous albums certainly in the sense of the opening track. Like, normally our kind of formula, our go-to formula would be like a long kind of drawn out, eerie kind of introduction that builds in tension and builds and builds until eventually it releases into this massive, big heavy guitars, big synths, something that just like sounds as powerful as we can. This album starts with
a banger,
a fanfare.
Yeah. Not long though. It doesn't take long till you're kicking in the doors with the beat, and the first chorus comes in.
But as well, the track is like so positive. It felt like a nice change.
Yeah, we were quite like, knowing that all of the songs that were going to be on it were all quite sort of big bangers and single possible singles. It felt right to start the album with a single, like straight out. Here's the first chorus. Here's the big beat. Here's the guitars. Like, none of the sort of kind of long drawn out eerie intros that we've done on other albums. Just straight fucking knock down the doors. Mm-hmm. We're back.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your heads, I want you guys to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less. 3 words each, 6 total.
Bangers, bangers, bangers.
All right.
She said quick, Chris. Come on, snappy.
Positive.
1.
Uplifting.
2.
Beautiful.
3. There you go.
Wonderful.
There you go. Can you guys talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments from the creation of the album?
I don't think it was challenging.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, it was one of the best experiences I think we've had collectively as a band. On our 3rd album, we went out to Thailand and we recorded A Flash Flood of Colour, and like that was an amazing experience. But I put this recording cycle and this album production, up there with that, if not even above that. It was just us in a room with like our engineer friend who helped us engineer the last record. It was the most pure record we've ever made.
Yeah, it was like people in our recent signings have come up to us and said, thank you so much for making this album. I'm like, honestly, it was our pleasure. Like, we had a great time doing it. We didn't just do it to make you happy. We had a really good time doing it. Mm-hmm. And there was so much just sort of excitement, and just like felt like kids again, except we didn't have our parents around,
Yeah, I guess the only struggle I can think of was just like, but this always happens, those days or those afternoons or something where there's just like the creativity's not there, and you start to question it. But it never lasted that long. We'd always just move on to something else, and and it would start flowing.
That's awesome.
The time making sure that it was done in time. That was probably the biggest challenge.
Absolutely, needing to the deadline.
Great with.
Sure. So for these last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you guys.
Sure. All right, on to movies.
Awesome. Actually, on to death row. So if you guys were on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Ooh. You know what? So you know, I imagine you know who Gordon Ramsay is. He does a lot over here in the States, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's made this absolutely incredible dish. Like, he's always been a big meat eater, and he had a big thing with vegans. He's always arguing with them. And then recently, like, okay, you've got me, and I'm going vegan for lunch. But then he made this absolutely incredible dish. It's like an aubergine dish that you sort of char. What do you do it? Like, you burn it on the outside and then steam it, char it, and then this this incredible sauce that he does with it. And then we put it on my wife and I make it often because it's so good. And then you end up getting you get a whole baked like aubergine each, but it's so rich because of that charring process. It's so rich and smoky, and the flavor is so deep, and it's absolutely delicious. So I'd have that with a glass of red wine.
Hell yeah!
Sounds delicious.
I would go probably. Rob's gone like the pro chef route. I'd go the other way. I would have. It's quite English of me, but I'd have a home cooked roast dinner, which is basically like a Sunday lunch tradition back home. But it's got to be homemade. It can't be done in a pub or in a restaurant or anything like that. So I want the homemade one.
Only homemade because your wife is a really good chef.
that helps for sure.
Are amazing.
So I have on asking the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
I don't know.
I know my wife's more than I know mine. Hers is green. Mine used to be, like, when I was a kid, I'd always say red. I don't know why, but like, I think it's sort of a deep sort of maroon red.
I think it would be just a straight up blue. I wear a lot.
Do wear a lot of blue.
It seems to be my go-to color.
Looks good on you.
It's a good color.
All right. Well, as I said,
one of the good ones.
That is all the questions we have to for you guys. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Well, we got a new album out. We're going to be coming back to the States in the autumn. We're playing Furnace Fest, and we're going to have some other bits and pieces, so keep your eyes peeled, and we'll be back soon.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you for now. This guy's been Rob and Chris from Enter Shikari, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.